Part 28. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 271. Although Chu Mingjun had dealt with Mu Zi before, he also came to Mu's house to pick her up, but this was his first official visit. Like a warm and hospitable host, Mu Rongxian came to greet them in person, led them to the living room, and treated them with the best biluakun. You two are here, it's really radiant. Mu Rongxuan's face was flushed. No matter how many people want to talk to Tongwu, it will be difficult for them. But such a person actually came to visit his home in person. I don't know what is the purpose of Master Tong and Lawyer Chu's visit. Mu Rongxian tried his best to suppress his excitement, trying to look calm, but he couldn't hide the flattery in his eyes. Tongwu said with a smile, I'm younger than Mr. Mu, so I don't dare to be a master. If Mr. Mu doesn't mind, please call me Lao Wu. That's so embarrassing. The smile on Mu Rongxuan's face deepened, and he almost couldn't close his mouth from ear to ear. Chu Mingjun sat on the sofa sullenly, feeling uneasy. Although the matter of Mu Zi was found out by the Gu family, but sitting here now, he has an inexplicable illusion of betraying his friends. Alas, I really feel bad. After exchanging a few simple greetings, Tongwu said to Mu Rongxian, my young master went to a fashion birthday show before, and happened to meet Miss Mu Zi. The young master felt that the appearance conditions were very rare, and he wanted to sign him as an artist for training, but Miss Mu Zi he didn't intend to be in the entertainment industry, but he refused at that time. The young master always felt it was a pity, but recently he just found out that Lawyer Chu and Miss Mu Zi knew each other, so he wanted Lawyer Chu to be a middleman, and invited Miss Mu Zi to Gu's house as a guest. What he said was justified and well-founded, and the reason was named, without mentioning anything related to the lawsuit. When Mu Rongxian heard that Mu Zi had rejected young Master Gu, he immediately regretted and said, Zi is such a fool. He rejected such a rare opportunity, and he didn't tell his family when he came back. We don't even know. Then he urged the servant, go and call the lady over. Mu Zi doesn't know Tongwu. As soon as she walked into the living room, she saw Mu Rongxian looking at her with bright eyes, and she was taken aback. Mu Rongxian should have hated Mu Zi very much, but Mu Zi caused him a lot of losses, and indirectly caused Mu Ling to drop out of school. Now Mu Ling is even suffering from hysteria, going crazy every day. But as soon as Mu Rongxian saw Tongwu coming to invite Mu Zi to Gu's house, he seemed to have immediately forgotten those grievances. At this moment he only wished he could become Mu Zi's big brother. As soon as he opened his mouth, the elder blamed him, Zizi, you don't know the seriousness, it's such an honor for young Master Gu to appreciate you. Why don't you tell your family members? Mu Zi was disgusted by Mu Rongxuan's expression, and was stunned for a moment, standing not far away, hesitating not to approach. Chu Mingjun hurriedly got up and introduced, this is Mr. Tong, the chief manager of the Gu family. Today I specially invite you to visit the Gu family. While talking, he winked at Mu Zi vigorously. Mu Zi knew what was going on in her heart. Miss Mu, a little care is not a respect. Tongwu stood up slowly and handed over the gift box beside him. Mu Zi frowned slightly after receiving it in her hand. You won't be rewarded for nothing, young Master Gu is too polite. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Mu Rongxian, don't be childish. It's because young Master Gu appreciates you that Manager Tong brought you a gift, please accept it. Mu Rongxian smiled kindly at Tongwu again, Zizi is young, so don't care about Tong Guanqi with her as a child, please take care of her in the future. Please help me. Mu Zi was speechless. Seeing Mu Rongxuan's face, she was suddenly very glad that she was just an unrelated adopted daughter. If she was Mu Rongxuan's own sister, she would have been packed and sent to Gu Liang's bed by now, right? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 272. Tongwu replied with a smile, Miss Mu is I Snow smart and quite a celebrity, Mr. Mu is too modest to resign. His words not only praised Mu Zi, but also praised the Mu family's tutor, which made Mu Rongxian feel happy physically and mentally, and his face was full of radiance. Mu Zi was not interested in this kind of entertainment, so she said lightly, I'm going to change clothes, and I have to tell my mother before I can go out, please wait a moment. She turned and walked out. Chu Mingjun and Tongwu were taken aback at the same time. Just now I felt strange why the servant went outside to invite Mu Zi, and now seeing Mu Zi walking out, I realized that Mu Zi's residence is not here. Mu Rongxuan's face was not very good looking for a while, he was embarrassing. Zizi's mother likes to be quiet. She lives in a bungalow behind the garden, where the environment is quiet and not as noisy as the front where people come and go, Mu Rongxian explained with a smile. His explanation is really far-fetched. No matter how much he likes quietness, there is absolutely no reason for a serious daughter to live elsewhere. Reminiscent of the identity of Mu Zi's adopted daughter, Tongwu and Chu Mingjun both knew it well, and tacitly did not ask. Mu Rongxian felt embarrassed. He didn't want outsiders to think that the Mu family was harsh on their adopted daughter. However, this embarrassment quickly dissipated with Mu Zi's return. As soon as he thought of being able to get in touch with the Gu family, Mu Rongxuan's blood boiled with excitement. Before departure, a little episode happened. Mu Yun got the news from nowhere and hurried down from upstairs. She took Muse's arm involuntarily, and said affectionately, Zizi is young, how can anyone feel at ease when she goes to see young Master Gu alone? I'll go with Zizi. Mu Yun has her hair up, light makeup on, and a pair of diamond-encrusted tassel earrings shining on her earlobes, complementing her delicate and beautiful face. She is wearing a camel-colored cashmere tunic coat, paired with high-heeled boots. Figure. Compared with Mu Zi's tightly wrapped-down jacket, Mu Yun has obviously been well-dressed. Tongwu subconsciously looked at Mu Zi. He had no objection. After all, Mu Zi was only a 16-year-old girl. It was really inappropriate to rashly go out with two big men. It was human nature to bring a female companion, but the final decision on this matter rested with Mu Zi. Although Mu Rongxian also hoped that his daughter could go to Gu's house, he was more worried about making Tongwu unhappy, so he immediately said with a dark face, Nonsense, Zizi has a business to see Gu Shao, what are you going to do? Mu Yun was scolded by her father in public, the smile on her face became forced, but she still insisted on holding Mu Zi's arm. Being able to meet young Master Gu is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and she must not miss it. Mu Zi's eyes flashed, and she didn't know what to think of. She hooked her lips and smiled slightly, Brother, let Mu Yun go with me, I'm going to see young Master Gu alone, and I'm really nervous. A gratified smile suddenly appeared on Mu Rongxuan's face. He completely forgot how tricky and hateful Mu Zi was. Could not be more pleased with her. Mu Yun was also overjoyed, secretly proud, even if she still has some self-knowledge. Remember that her surname is Mu. A group of four got into Guanxi Tong's car. With a smile on the corner of Mu Zi's mouth, she silently withdrew her arm from Mu Yun's. Mu Yun was in a state of elation at the moment, but she didn't take it to heart, and happily followed her into the car. The car drove smoothly and quickly, and arrived at the place quickly. The Gu family's family is not in Xinjiang City, but as one of the three most prosperous cities in Huia, the Gu family naturally has a garden villa here, which is beautiful and luxurious. After seeing Mu Rongcheng's manor and castle, Mu Zi looked at this kind of mansion again, and her heart was basically calm. They walked all the way in along the bluestone bricks, and they could see patrolling security guards every few meters, which showed that they were heavily guarded. In the distance, a woman's voice was heard, What kind of guest is here? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 273. A woman who can appear in Gu's family must have an unusual status, either from a famous family or a certain actress. Muzi raised her eyes and saw a woman wearing a silver-gray fox fur coat standing at the front door, looking at them with frowning eyebrows. The woman's face looks very young, but her dress is more mature, her hair is permed in delicate and fluffy curls, and her lips are lined with gorgeous color, which is very charming. Coincidentally, Miss Lan is here today, Tongwu greeted the woman. The other party was wearing a coat and carrying a bag in his hand. Obviously, he had just arrived and hadn't had time to go in yet. When Muzi heard Tongwu addressing Miss Lan, she guessed in her heart, it should be Lan Kexin, a third-year student of Gray's that Zhuangjia mentioned earlier. Lan Kexin's eyes flicked across Muzi and Muyun coldly, and paused for a short while on Muyun, her expression showing disgust and contempt. What are they doing? Muyun is usually used to being arrogant, but today she came to Gu Liang's residence, but she was very honest. She lowered her eyebrows and said nothing. Lawyer Chu's friend Tongwu said with a smile, without revealing Muzi's identity, the young master is still waiting, so I can only wrong Miss Lan for waiting. Alluding to Gu Liang's desire to see the people he brought first. Lan Kexin frowned and was a little unhappy, but Tongwu was Gu Liang's chief manager, she didn't dare to offend easily, so she suppressed her dissatisfaction and walked into the room. In the living room, the Italian-style crystal chandelier is shining brightly, the gorgeous marble floor tiles are covered with dark green blankets like algae, and the flames in the fireplace are fierce, providing warmth for the room. Tongwu asked Muzi and the others to sit down and rest, and went upstairs alone to pass the message. The room was warm, Lan Kexin took off the fur outside, and Muyun unbuttoned the coat. Unfortunately, the two of them were wearing cashmere dresses of the same color underneath. Almost all the same. If there is a competition, Muyun is probably better. After all, Lan Kexin is 2 years younger and is not as developed as Muyun. For a moment, the atmosphere in the living room was delicate. Lan Kexin looked at Muyun not only with disgust, but also with resentment. Women hate Zhuangshan, especially when she finds that the same clothes look more beautiful on the other side. Even Chu Mingjun could almost feel the hostility in the eyes. Only Muzi was at ease, huddled in her generous down jacket, quietly enjoying the warmth. During her menstrual period, she always felt extremely chilly. The short wait was unbearable. Chu Mingjun drank tea one after another, feeling uncomfortable and uncomfortable. Finally looking forward to Tongwu's return. Young Master Gu, invite the two of you to go up, Tongwu said. The two referred to Muzi and Chu Mingjun. Chu Mingjun quickly got up as if he had received an amnesty, but the two ladies beside him were all surprised. Guard Tong, didn't you tell young Master Gu that I was coming? Did young Master Gu let me go up? Lan Kexin got up and asked. Muyun also wanted to ask, but she was inferior to Lan Kexin, so she could only look at Tongwu with anxious eyes. The smile on Tongwu's face did not change, and he repeated peacefully, young Master Gu invites Miss Muzi and Mr. Chu Mingjun to go upstairs. To put it plainly, if you continue to question, you will undoubtedly have to embarrass yourself. Lan Kexin's face was slightly stiff, she pursed her lips and sat back down again. To Tongwu, she was still somewhat in awe. Muyun suppressed the urgency in her heart, stretched out a gentle smile, looked at Muzi and said, little aunt, then I'll wait for you here, don't be nervous and don't be afraid when you get up later. She deliberately emphasized scared, implying Muzi to be smarter, and asked her to accompany her on the grounds of nervousness and fear. As a result, Muzi got up with a blank face, nodded and replied with a word. Oh! Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 274. The Idiot. Mu Yun clenched her teeth, feeling angry and anxious. I can't wait to step forward and grab Mu Zi, ordering her loudly to take me upstairs. But in the wealthy and prominent Gu's family, Mu Yun had to be scrupulous. She tried her best to maintain her elegance, but the anxiety in her eyes still betrayed her thoughts. Mu Zi pretended not to notice, and followed Chu Mingjun upstairs with her arms folded. Mu Yun sat on the sofa, watching Mu Zi go up, unable to calm down, thinking that Mu Zi could actually see that man at the top of the upper class. The flames of jealousy rose from her heart, burning her heart. Mu Zi is so lucky. Forget about the Zhang family who are attached to a scholarly family, but now they are appreciated by young Master Gu. She heard it all. Young Master Gu wants to make Mu Zi a star. The purpose of studying hard is just to get ahead. If Gu Shao appreciates it, it's not just to get ahead, it's not impossible to fly to the branches and become a phoenix. That idiot Mu Zi refused, she was so stupid. Mu Yun was going crazy with jealousy. Tongwu led Mu Zi and Chu Mingjun to the reception room upstairs. The reception room is very spacious, decorated in Italian style, the floor-to-ceiling glass windows are transparent and bright, and the warm sunlight pours in. Mu Zi subconsciously squinted her eyes and smelled the mellow coffee. Master, Miss Mu, and Mr. Chu are here, Tongwu said. In the bright sunlight, Mu Zi saw a tall and slender man, wearing a white shirt and dark trousers. The buttons on the cuffs were shiny and warm, with a refined demeanor. It was hard to imagine that he would be the man on the throne of the entertainment empire. Holding the utensil in his hand, Gu Liang turned around and smiled at Mu Zi, with a gentle tone. Here you go, sit down. Mu Zi and Chu Mingjun sat on the white leather sofa. She was a little curious and looked up at what Gu Liang was doing. Gu Liang stood in front of the black fiberglass console, grinding coffee beans in a leisurely manner. He chooses coffee beans by himself, grinds and cooks them himself. He feels that he should be a person who is very particular about the quality of life, and at the same time very elegant. Mu Zi silently made an evaluation in her heart. Gu Liang brewed 3 cups of coffee, and Tongwu Juan brought them to the coffee table. Do you want to add sugar? Gu Liang asked. His tone was very easygoing, as if the person who came was his old friend. Chu Mingjun was a little cautious, he waved his hands and said no. Mu Zi didn't want to hurt herself, so she said, I want to. Tongwu opened the sugar box beside him, and added 2 cubes of sugar to Mu Zi's coffee. Stirring gently with a delicate teaspoon, Mu Zi picked up the coffee cup and took a small sip. With the hot air, her eyes became brighter and brighter, her little face was flushed, and there was a thin layer of sweat on the tip of her nose, showing a bit of childishness. Gu Liang recalled that day when he saw Mu Zi at the show. She was wearing a black dress and long skirt. She looked very mysterious and charming even though she was young. She didn't expect to meet her today and found her childish. Miss Mu, we meet again, Gu Liang said to Mu Zi with a smile. His smile is warm and harmless, and it is easy to make people like him. But Mu Zi didn't forget how honorable the other party was. She put down the coffee cup and smiled slightly. Young Master Gu. I didn't expect to be caught by Ms. Mu's words. My brother's lawsuit lost miserably. Gu Liang's face was still gentle, calm, even though his own brother was about to face prison. Mu Zi was silent for a moment, then said, Second young master will be fine, she answered very measuredly. Gu Liang smiled. Gu Yan is his own younger brother. The big family pays attention to the prosperity of the population. Mr. Gu has more than a dozen women in the open and in the dark, and there are many children. Gu Liang has many brothers and sisters, but Gu Yan is the only sibling with him. Of course he wouldn't let anything happen to his only real brother. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 275. Although he has 100 ways to get his younger brother out, but using power and money to cover it up will inevitably leave traces and be attacked by other brothers and sisters. The old man was already very displeased with Gu Yan. If he got involved in a death lawsuit, his future inheritance rights might be affected. This is something Gu Liang would never allow to happen. So he hired a team of lawyers to use the most open and fair method to clear his brother's name. Gu Liang's eyes were deep, and he looked at Mu Ziyi in front of him with doubts in his heart. Does he really want to invite a little girl to reverse the case for his brother? Mu Ziyi sat quietly on the sofa, her thick black hair hugged her small face, her skin was pink and tender, and her eyes were clear. She looked like a girl who didn't know much about the world. It is hard to imagine that such an ignorant girl would have the wisdom and courage to distinguish right from wrong. It was probably because the room was warm, so Mu Ziyi opened the zipper of the down jacket, revealing the hooded sweater inside, with a cartoon pattern of Mickey Mouse on the chest. Gu Liang was a little bit dumbfounded. Which of the women who came to see him didn't try her best to dress up? Perhaps only Mu Ziyi dressed so casually. She was really a child. It doesn't matter if it's a child, it's clean and pure, not tacky. Gu Liang was a little happy, for no reason. In fact, he really misunderstood. It's not that Mu Ziyi doesn't pay attention to dressing, it's just that today is her menstrual period and she is not feeling well, so she tries to choose comfortable and warm clothes as much as possible. Miss Mu, I would like to ask you to assist the legal team to investigate the case together. Gu Liang's voice was warm and sincere. Gu Shayan is serious. There are so many talents in the lawyer team. How can I use me? I lost the lawsuit because of carelessness. When the second trial is over, the lawyers will definitely turn the tide. Mu Ziyi spoke softly, with a face with a light and gentle smile. I'm handling the case with lawyer Qu. I'm just a kid just joining in the fun. Don't think too much of me. Gu Liang smiled. One more person, one more hope. Although my brother is an asshole, this murder case is really wronged. I hope Miss Mu can help with this. The graceful and honorable young Master Gu, if he can say something like this, if Mu Ziyi refuses again, it will be a little out of date. Mu Ziyi weighed the pros and cons in her heart. Young Master Gu, can I have a look at the case file first? Mu Ziyi asked after thinking for a while. Of course. Gu Liang looked at Tong Wu. Tong Wu bowed and stepped back. After a while, he brought a document bag from outside and put it gently on the coffee table. Mu Ziyi opened the file bag, took out the files inside, and looked through them carefully. There is a thick stack of documents and materials, but they are organized and not messy at all. You can tell it's from a big law firm at a glance. From the interrogation statement during the initial period of the case, to the fragmented clues at each stage, the police report and the prosecutor's closing statement, all the information of a case is contained in it, complete and rigorous. Mu Ziyi watched for a long time. After Chu Mingjun drank a cup of coffee, he was a little anxious for her, so he just left Gu Shao beside him. Is it really okay? Mu Ziyi really didn't do it on purpose, it's just that after entering the working state, she will habitually become extremely focused, so that she ignores the people around her. After reading the case file, she picked up the coffee on the coffee table and took a sip. Only when she realized that the coffee had become cold did she realize that she had read it for a long time. Sorry, I took it too seriously. Mu Ziyi was very embarrassed. Gu Liang smiled. Ms. Mu is serious, which is good news for me. Mu Ziyi also smiled, thinking that Gu Liang is a nice person. It is really rare to be so patient with a child like her, not rushing or impatient. If you believe me, I can take over this case, but I have two principles for taking the case. Mu Ziyi narrowed her bright eyes and said, first, the client is indeed innocent. Second, the lawsuit must be fought according to my method. Young Master Gu. You can't be fooled by her, the woman's sharp voice sounded. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 276. Where did you come from, a vixen? Knowing that young Master Gu is anxious about the lawsuit, you approached young Master Gu with ulterior motives. You have such deep thoughts at the age of 15 or 16, and you will be able to do it when you grow up. Are you a student of Gray's? Good, good. I must tell the school council tomorrow. Lan Kexin rushed out suddenly, pointing at Muzi and yelling, her chest heaved violently, she was both shocked and angry. She knew that Gu Liang liked mature women, so she kept focusing on Mu Yun, who was a little older. When Muzi was brought upstairs, she faintly felt something was wrong. Muzi was talking to Gu Liang upstairs. Lan Kexin was not idle, she asked Mu Yun about their identities and why they came to Gu's house today. Mu Yun didn't dare to offend her, she knew everything, and told Lan Kexin that it was Gu Shao who took a fancy to Muzi and wanted to make Muzi a big star. Lan Kexin panicked at the time, and immediately found an excuse to go upstairs. The Lan family has some connections with the Gu family, so Lan Kexin was so courageous that she went all the way outside the reception room and heard Muzi's words clearly. Gu Shao actually asked Muzi to investigate the case of the second young master, it's crazy. She pointed at Muzi and finished cursing, then looked at Gu Liang anxiously, young master Gu. She is an orphan adopted by the Mu family, you can't really trust her. The first trial has already been lost, if you lose again in the second trial, Shao really can't turn over. She really didn't understand why the wise Gu Liang would trust a child. Even though Muzi was exquisite and beautiful, she was just a yellow-haired girl. Muzi has become used to being questioned by others, but this is the first time to be pointed at and scolded like this. Her eyes are a little cold, and she said lightly, the matter is important, and I am not sure that I will win. Young Master Gu might as well think about it again. Look. Gu Liang's face darkened, and his deep eyes were cold and sharp. Did I ask you to message Miss Lan? He asked Tong Wu. The expression on Tong Wu's face was half a smile, and he replied, yes, I will ask Miss Lan to wait downstairs, but Miss Lan has a lot of work, so she must have forgotten. Lan Kexin was in extreme embarrassment, her face flushed and turned pale, but she still insisted on persuading, Brother Gu, if Auntie knows, she won't agree. This time, she no longer called young Master Gu, but Big Brother to get closer to each other. Miss Lan, please go out. Gu Liang didn't look at her, with frost on his brows. Lan Kexin was about to cry, as if she was about to cry at any time. Tong Wu walked over and persuaded in a low voice, Miss Lan, do you really want to make the young master angry? Lan Kexin's heart trembled slightly, she covered her lips and swallowed back the crying, but the tears still rolled down. She was taken out by Tong Wu. Not long after, Tong Wu came back alone and said to Gu Liang, Miss Lan has already gone back. Gu Liang pursed his thin lips slightly, still worried and a little embarrassed. Lan Kexin's mother and Gu Liang's mother are best friends. When she was a child, Lan Kexin often came to the house with her mother as a guest, so there was some affection. It's just that she didn't expect that when Lan Kexin grew up, her personality became more and more arrogant, and she dared to rush out and yell when Gu Liang was entertaining guests. How rude. Muzi's emotions have recovered from her anger, she took the file bag and stood up, asking, young Master Gu, can I take these materials with me? Gu Liang returned to his senses, nodded and said, yes. After the words fell, he pondered for a moment, and said again, Miss Mu, wait a moment. Gu Liang asked Tong Wu to bring a light brown exquisite leather case. The suitcase was opened, and inside was a box of gold bars. Neat, golden light. Muzi was stunned for a moment, and Chu Mingjun's inhalation sounded next to his ears. Everyone in the world loves gold, even if these gold bars in front of you are exchanged for equivalent banknotes and placed in a suitcase, it may not be able to have the shocking effect at the moment. That's a lot of money. Musa stared blankly at those gold bars, and for some reason, asked a very unimaginable question, "Young Master Gu, can you dive?" Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 277. Everyone in the room was taken aback. Even the well-informed Gu Liang couldn't understand Mu Zi's reaction. Surprised, Gu Liang didn't answer for a moment, but Mu Zi came to his senses first, realized that he asked abruptly, and quickly apologized. "It's very presumptuous, I just want to ask you, have you ever dived in Xinjiang in August this year?" She asked. Her clear and bright eyes looked straight at Gu Liang, as if she was confirming something. Could it be him? Gu Liang's eyes were deep and quiet. After a moment of silence, he smiled and said, "Miss Mu, did you misunderstand something? I was in Australia in August this year, not in China." Mu Zi was stunned. She also thought she was an idiot for asking this. "It's just that when I suddenly saw a box of gold just now, I remembered that I was taken to see the mage by climbing mountains and wading rivers, and asked the mage to revive her at the price of a box of gold. That person, why can't I find it?" "What's the matter with you?" Chu Mingjun didn't understand why Mu Zi suddenly asked this, and asked with a bit of worry, "Is this matter related to the case?" "No, if you want to dive, you should go the seaside. The bottom of the river is pitch black, there is nothing to play." "It's nothing." Mu Zi pulled up the corners of her mouth and forced a smile. She didn't want to talk any more about this topic. She lowered her eyes and looked at the gold bars on the coffee table again. Her mind was already calm, and she smiled and said, "Young Master Gu, you should pay me after you win the lawsuit. I am young, and you suddenly gave me so much gold. I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep well." "Miss Mu is too modest," Gu Liang said with a gentle and refined smile on his face. "This is not your reward. You should go around investigating the case for the Gu family, and you deserve a little labor fee. If you win the lawsuit, I will thank you again." Mu Zi still refused to accept. Gu Yan's case has yet to come to fruition, so it feels inappropriate to accept gold bars casually like this. But Gu Liang insisted. Mu Zi didn't want to accept gold bars, and at the same time she didn't want to offend Gu Liang. She thought about it and came up with a compromise that she thought was good. "Can I use these gold bars in exchange for Gu Shao's favor?" Mu Zi looked at Gu Liang sincerely. "Gold bars are really useless to me, but Gu Shao's favor is very useful to me." Gu Liang was amused by her serious bargaining appearance, thought Mu Zi was very cute, and sighed with a smile. "Miss Mu is very smart, she knows that my favor is worth more than gold bars." Mu Zi smiled embarrassedly. In this way, the two sides reached an agreement, and Mu Zi took the case file, and bid farewell to Gu Liang together with Chu Mingjun. Tong Wu sent the two of them downstairs. Mu Yun was still downstairs. She was so anxious that she waited for a long time, but she didn't expect that she sat there for more than an hour without seeing Gu Liang's face, so she was about to leave. Am I supposed to say goodbye to young Master Gu?" Mu Yun forced a smile, and really didn't want to leave. "It's impolite to leave without saying goodbye, isn't it?" Mu Zi sarcastically said. "Then you go. It happens that Gu Shao is losing his temper because of Miss Ian's sudden running up, so go and comfort him." Mu Yun choked. Lan Kexin was familiar with the Gu family, so going upstairs rashly would annoy Gu Shao, let alone an outsider she didn't know well at all. Looking at the unfathomable faint smile on Tong Guanqi's face, Mu Yun's heart seemed to be beating a drum, flustered, and she dared not speak again. The Gu family's annex is not in the urban area, surrounded by beautiful rivers, there are no people, and no traffic noise, Tongwu arranged a car to take them back. Before leaving, Tongwu said to Mu Zi from the car window, "You don't have to worry about Miss Ian's matter, we will take care of the school in advance, and it will never make you unhappy." Mu Zi smiled and said, "Thank you. She is young and her ability is questioned, which is really normal, so there is no need to hold grudges because of this, but when she is insulted, it feels really bad. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 278. When the car drove to the bustling urban area, Mu Zi asked Mu Yun to get off. "Why?" Mu Yun's pent-up anger erupted in an instant. She failed to see Gu Shao, and now she has to be driven out of the car by Mu Zi. Mu Zi said indifferently, "Aren't you going home? Lawyer Chu and I have something to go elsewhere, don't you want to follow?" Mu Yun gritted her teeth, "What is so important that you can't go tomorrow?" "No." Mu Zi shook her head without thinking, "Tomorrow is Monday, and I still have class." Mu Yun had no choice but to get out of the car angrily, stepped on high heels and stood on the cold and windy road, waving at the taxi on the road with a bit of embarrassment. Seeing her unwillingness, Mu Zi had a wicked smile on her face. After laughing, she felt that she was good or bad. Knowing what Mu Yun was thinking, she deliberately made her happy. Could she be infected by that pervert Murong Chang? Chu Mingjun asked, "Are we going to the scene of the crime?" Yeah. Mu Zi recovered and nodded, "If I don't go today, I have to wait for a week. The final exam is coming soon, and I don't want to ask for leave." The corners of Chu Mingjun's mouth twitched slightly. For young Master Gu's case, it's reasonable to ask for a few days off, they have given out so many gold bars. It's not too much to apply for a suspension from school to investigate the case. Alas, Miss Sister really doesn't pay much attention. Mu Zi ignored Chu Mingjun because her cell phone rang. The caller ID is, "Brother." The Huo family and the Gu family belong to the four major families. Murong Cheng must know where the Gu family lives in Xinjiang City. If he found out that he had gone to Gu's house, it would not be surprising to call to inquire. Mu Zi expected this, subconsciously stretched out her hand to touch the necklace pendant around her neck, and answered the phone at the same time. As expected, Murong Cheng on the other side asked, "What are you doing at Gu's house?" Mu Zi glanced at Chu Mingjun beside him, and replied, "Young Master Gu asked Lawyer Chu to help investigate the case. I went with Lawyer Qu." Murong Cheng's voice seemed to be grinding his teeth. "A group of men. There's also Mu Yun," Mu Zi hurriedly added, "Mu Yun has gone too. Not all of them are men." At that time, she would have agreed to Mu Yun to go with her just to guard against Murong Cheng. When Murong Cheng heard this, he was silent for a while, and his jealousy seemed to be less serious, and he said in a deep voice, "From now on, don't run to Gu's house if you have nothing to do. Old man Gu's sons are full of wine bags and rice bags, and they can't move their feet when they see women. There is only one Gu Liang. It's quite responsible." Mu Zi didn't expect that the mean Murong Cheng would even praise others. It seems that this Gu Liang is really extraordinary. Young Master Gu asked us to help investigate the case, and gave us a box full of gold. Mu Zi shared today's experience with Murong Cheng, but he was rejected by Lawyer Chu and me. You said he was so strange that he wanted to give our money can be sent directly to the bank account with a string of zeros. Why use gold bars? I don't know much. Murong Cheng scolded her, but his tone was very intimate and cozy. This is the unwritten rule of the four major families. You can use money to buy people's hearts, but if you want to make friends and want to keep in touch with each other for a long time, you need to use gold. You must not have picked it up to look at it. There is a special mark of the Gu family printed on the bottom of the gold. Whoever has this gold will be the guest of the Gu family. Mu Zi suddenly realized, then the Huo family also has such gold. Want? Murong Cheng teased her with a smile. I asked Wang Zhan to bring a cart of gold for you to play with. You're so boring. Muzi raised her eyebrows and scolded, I'm just curious, who said you want to play with gold? Murong Cheng laughed heartily on the phone. After laughing for a while, he asked her, did you miss me? Muzi, you are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 279. Muzi didn't speak. I don't want to talk about missing him, just to make him proud. I also don't want to say that I don't want him, and tell him to use the topic to make use of it. Muzi was hesitating, should he make an excuse that the signal was too bad and he didn't hear clearly? In the end, there was silence for a moment, but Murong Cheng asked her, I'm shy, so I can't answer. Muzi's face turned red all of a sudden. Who is shy? You talk nonsense all day long. She heard Murong Cheng's low laughter on the other end of the phone, and her face turned even redder. Zizi, you must be blushing. Murong Cheng's voice contained a deep smile. Hang up the phone and video with brother, let me see if your face is blushing. What video are you watching? The signal here is poor, and I can't hear what you are saying. I'm going to hang up. She covered her burning face, and quickly hung up the phone. After hanging up, I was worried that he would really send a video invitation, so I waited in fear for a while, and the phone really rang. Muzi was shocked, and then heaved a sigh of relief. It's a new SMS reminder, not a video invitation. Swipe the screen, and the text box of the new message will pop up. There is no doubt that it was sent by Murong Cheng. There is only one sentence, do not hook up with men. Muzi. This person, what is going on in his head every day? As for the owner of the house, he is not serious at all, he is clearly a stinky hooligan. Muzi thinks that the head of the family should be like Gul Yang, calm and restrained, restraining his emotions no matter whether he is happy or angry, with a kind of calm majesty. Chu Mingjun at the side asked her, whose phone number? Muzi recovered, and replied, oh, it's my brother. Chu Mingjun didn't care, and said, you two have a pretty good relationship. Why? Muzi felt embarrassed, and turned his face to look at the scenery outside the car. He just keeps me under strict control, saying that the young masters of the Gu family are not bad people, so he called me and told me not to go to the Gu family again. Muzi casually chattered a few words, with a hint of concealment, but Chu Mingjun felt a little melancholy when he heard it. Those from the Gu family are really not good people. Alas, there are no good people in this world. Chu Mingjun sighed. Muzi looked at him strangely, what's wrong with you? Do you still remember the case of Xia Chenan? Chu Mingjun told her in a low voice with a gloomy face, isn't Xia Chenan's mother the boss of the company? She is also what people call a rich woman. She once raised a little boy, and I heard that she liked it very much, spent a lot of money on Xiaobalian, and later Xiaobalian met a richer woman, and dumped Xia Chenan's mother. Muzi's eyes widened slightly, could it be? Yes, it's exactly what you think. Chu Mingjun nodded, Zhou Suangxuan's mother is the richer woman. Xiaobalian married her and had a child, but her nature is hard to change. She always likes to tease women everywhere. Xia Chenan hated this man for deceiving his mother's feelings and money, so he planned to kidnap him in order to punish that little boy. Chu Mingjun heaved a long sigh, although we caught the real culprit, we also covered up the fact that Xia Chenan premeditated the crime. Sometimes I really can't figure out whether what we did was right or wrong. Like now in this case, we actually want to help that scumbag Guyan. In this Xinjiang city, are there still few women who were played to death by Gu Shao? Muzi was silent when she heard the words. If you have been in this business for a long time, you will probably feel as confused as Chu Mingjun. After Chu Mingjun sighed, he felt that it was hypocritical for him to say this to a little girl. He scratched the back of his head with a smile, and laughed at himself. I just sighed casually, there is no other meaning. Of course, what Gu Shao explained must be done carefully. I know the size. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 280. Seeing Chu Mingjun like this, Mu Zi's thoughts moved a little. She lowered her eyes and muttered, actually, we are just mortals, how can we decide whether a person is guilty or not, or the severity of the crime? The only thing to do is to try to discover the crime, bring the crime before the law, and let the law measure and sanction it. Chu Mingjun smiled after hearing this. Miss, you don't sound like a lawyer. Huh, Mu Zi didn't know why. Chu Mingjun smiled and said, like a prosecutor. Our lawyers only care about winning or losing, and everything is based on the interests of the client. Only prosecutors will look for traces of criminals. Mu Zi was slightly stunned, and after a while smiled brightly. Is that so? Then I'll be a prosecutor from now on. It's not easy to be a prosecutor. The passing rate of the judicial examination is only 2%, and you have to study at the Imperial Judicial Training Institute for at least 2 years. Chu Mingjun thought of the time when he was preparing for the exam and thought it was a nightmare, but he looked at Mu Zi and smiled slightly. If it was you, I would definitely pass. Mu Zi smiled back. The car continued to drive, and finally arrived at Greentown, Dongcheng District, Xinjiang City. Chu Mingjun contacted the police officer in charge of the case in advance, and the other party was an upright middle-aged man who was waiting at the gate of the community early. This is a medium to high-end residential area with low density and a green coverage rate of 35%. The residents are all wealthy people. The police officer introduced the situation near the crime scene to them. There is a film and television shooting base 2 kilometers away from here, so the people who come and go in and out of this community are either models or actors, or makeup artists and lighting engineers. There are a lot of trees here. Mu Zi, who was following behind, said suddenly. Well, yes, the small town of Grimm. There aren't many trees, so it doesn't feel like Grimm's fairy tales, the police officer said, stopping in front of a building. This is it, the 4th floor. In low-density mid to high-end communities, the residences are far apart, and the apartment floors are also low, with the highest being only 4 floors. The deceased Wu Xinhan rented a 2-bedroom house here with her friends, but her friends were often away, so it was equivalent to Wu Xinhan living alone. The police officer opened the door and handed disposable gloves and foot covers to Chu Mingjun and Mu Zi. After they were dressed, they formally entered the crime scene, Wu Xinhan's bedroom. The scene remained as it was at the time of the crime, but after all, it has been a long time, and some dust has inevitably accumulated, and there is a thin layer of dust on the furniture. She died on this bed. Mu Zi came to the bed and recalled the contents of the case file. There were many bruises on her body, and there were clear strangle marks on her neck. Choking to death. She remembered that one of the prosecution's evidence was a black leather rope with Gu Shao's fingerprints on it. The prosecution accused Gu Yan of accidental death while SM with the deceased Wu Xinhan. There is a way of SM abuse, which is to strangle the other party's neck to make them get pleasure from suffocation. If Gu Yan hadn't accidentally killed someone, then another person had entered the room and strangled Wu Xinhan to death. But how did the murderer get in and how did he get out? Mu Zi walked to the window, her eyes lighted slightly. The window sill here is very spacious. Chu Mingjun immediately asked the police officer, was the window locked when the incident happened? It's closed, but it's not locked, the police officer explained. The access control here is very strict, and you have to swipe your card to get in and out. Residents who are not in the community can't get in at all, and surveillance cameras are installed everywhere. Will also be captured by the camera.